Hey everyone, welcome back, or welcome if you're new. For those who are new, my name is Olivia and I am a type 1 diabetic of about 20 years now. And I just started recently on the Omnipod 5 insulin pump. And I know when I was looking at getting insulin pumps, I was looking for videos just like the one I'm making today to get all the information I could on the pod before starting it. Because for those who know, when you're a type 1 diabetic, going from a syringe or a vial or an insulin pen to a pump is one of the biggest changes you can do. So today I want to sit down with you guys and go through how I take my old pump off and how I put a new pump on. So let's get right into it. So right here I have my receiver. And since I have an iPhone, I have to use my receiver whenever I want to give myself a bolus. But today I also obviously need it to put my old pod out of commission and get my new pod started. So first thing I'm going to do, and I will show you guys, is I'm going to go in, put my passcode. I have 2 toddlers, so I need a passcode because if not, I can't imagine what would happen. So I can show you right there how many units I have left. I have 37 units left, and it says it expires today, this evening. So while my toddlers are sleeping, I'm taking advantage of the time and getting it changed right now, because for those who have kids, you know it can be hard when they're around. So you're going to go into View Pod Details, and you're going to click the bottom purple button, which says Change Pod. So Change Pod. Deactivate your pod. It's asking if I want to deactivate my pod, and the answer is yes. So I'm going to hit Deactivate. And I'm going to wait for my receiver to notify me that my pod is all out of commission, that all the insulin it was in process of giving me has given me, and we're all good to go taking it off. I saw a comment recently that originally in a previous video, I had made a claim that you cannot keep the insulin from your pump after you take it off. But I was told by another Omnipod user that apparently you can. So I am going to give that a try, probably today with this very pod. So it beeped that it was all done. And you can see on here, it says no active pod. So that means I'm clear to take this off. So you just peel it off. And this is what the inside of the pod looks like. If you can't really see it, that little cannula is what is sticking inside of you. So I'm going to put this to the side because, like I said, later I want to try to see if I can get the insulin back out, because if you can, that would be amazing. Everyone knows insulin medication today, especially in this time we're living in, is not cheap. So any way you can save, right? So now I have my new pod right here. I have my old Novolog insulin pens I'm going to be stealing the insulin from, and I'm going to be using that today. So you'll get to see me extract it from my pen. I'm going to click Set Up New Pod. And from here, it's going to give you step-by-step instructions of how to get going with this. So I take the paper out, and right here you have the old pod, the pod instructions. So I'm going to hold on to this. I like to store it in the back of my receiver, so that way if I ever have an issue with the pod and I have to call Omnipod, I have the information that they're going to ask for. Okay, put that right there. Okay, so now that I'm getting set to go, the first thing I want to do before I get into the bunny rabbit hole with my pod is I'm going to clean the area I plan on putting the pod. You're supposed to clean it with alcohol, so I just have plain old rubbing alcohol, cotton swab. And today I'm going to alternate arms because I did take it off of this arm. I'm going to put on this one now. And you just have to have it a good ½ inch, they said, away from your pod. I'm not sure what spot I want to do yet, so I'm just going to kind of clean all around and then see where the force takes me. So I'll clean, let that dry up. And now I'm going to seize this opportunity to put my insulin into my new pod. So for those who have plain insulin vials, this would be even easier for you guys. But I had a crap ton of these pens. I didn't want to trash them. So I asked them to teach me how to take it out of these, just because obviously, like I said earlier, save money where you can. So I'm going to take them out. And I know that I use about 40 to 45 units a day with the pod. So I like to overball that just in case. Me and my husband are going out on a date night this weekend within the next few days, and I don't want to ever run out of the pod. Once you run out of insulin in the pod, you have to take it off and start over. So I'm going to do about 140, and you're going to want to get air out of the tip. So, you know, flick the vial to make sure all the air goes to the top and then just a few little bubbles out. We look good. And then here on the pod, there's a little arrow and that points you to where you're going to inject that insulin. So you put the needle in and start injecting. And once it gets to 85, it will beep off letting you know that there's the minimum amount of insulin in the pod. You need 85 insulin units to be able to activate the pod. Here I go, so you can see. So you heard that beep, that means that I'm good to go. So next, I'm going to hit next on the pod itself because I did what they asked. I injected it with insulin, hit next. Now it says it's communicating with pod. So while I'm sitting here, I'm gonna hear the insulin priming in my pump and it's gonna make a slight clicking sound. And for those who have not worn the pod yet, so you know when the pod is giving you insulin, it clicks. It makes a very subtle clicking sound. And actually I kind of find it soothing. It sounds kind of strange. It's not an annoying kind of clicking sound. It doesn't get on my nerves at all. It's very minor, very quiet, but you can hear it, which is soothing to know that you are getting insulin. So you can hear it clicking now. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not, but it's clicking and it's priming. So it says priming, please wait. And then once it's ready, it'll beep off and let me know we are ready to take the next step. It does take a few seconds, so thank you for being patient and waiting with me while this primes. For those wondering, so far I love the Omnipod. I was very skeptical about whether or not I was going to like it, but so far I really love it and I have seen a big change in my blood sugars. Tomorrow I go to get my first A1C since having the pod and I'm excited to see what it says. So it says next step is to change pod. Clean site, check, already done. So you're going to remove the tab right here. Ooh, my goodness, remove the tab, try not to throw your pod. Check cannula and remove paper backing. So you're gonna take this and you're going to peel and peel. And I always like to hold the pod right at the bottom so my hands don't touch any of the sticky part. One, because this is sterile and you don't wanna, you know, get any germs and what's being injected into your body, but also just because I feel like you don't wanna mess up with how it's sticking. So I'm going to stick it on right here. And as I told you in a previous video, I try to stick to the outside of my arm because when I was accidentally putting on the inside of my arm, I was having a lot of bleeding and having to replace a lot of pods. So I'm gonna put it right here, stick it on, and then I put my finger around to let it know that it's good to go. Make sure it's stuck. And you can see I also have the Dexcom. And for those wondering, because I had the Dexcom for a few years and I've just moved to this, the Dexcom falls off a lot easier than the pod does, but you also have to remember this is on for 10 days, but this is only on for 3. So hit start. Are you sure it's securely in place? Yes, I am. So now it's communicating with pod. And a little trick is I like to pinch my arm fat when I'm putting this on. I found it hurts less and I found that I have less bleeding. So it just clicked and we are good. So it's communicating with the pod. We have the new pod on, and that's going to ask me a few fun questions. Is the cannula properly inserted? And I'm going to click yes. And you can tell because if you look at the pod, there's a little pink area you can see right there. And as long as that's in the little red square window, then you know that you have inserted it correctly. So yes. Switch to automated mode. Automated mode means I am putting my pod in charge of my body, and if it notices my sugar rising or dropping, it's going to make changes to adjust accordingly. So yes, make my life easier, please. So that is it, and it says it takes about 25 minutes to set up with Dexcom, but I've noticed it takes a lot less than that, and there you have it. I'm good to go. So that was what, 10 minutes to change the pod, and honestly, usually it would take me a lot less time if I wasn't filming or talking about it. So that's all, that's what we have here today. So thank you for checking out today with me and putting on my new Omnipod. If you have any questions or comments or experiences you'd like to share with me, leave it in the comments below. thank you again for checking me out today and have a great day.